Welcome to 1 Million Cent, the podcast where we equip you to share Jesus.
Hey, 1 million cent, 1 million cent. Get untrained and equipped 100%. 1 million cent, 1 million cent. Get untrained and equipped like 100%.
Well, guys, today I am excited because I have a great friend, I would say a more recent co-laborer in ministry.
That's right.
But we've known each other for quite some time, ministered at different churches in the same area. Both since that time have moved on to do what most would call parachurch ministry, mission ministry, evangelism ministry. But I have with me today my friend Craig Norton with Beyond the Known International. So, Craig, how are you today, my friend?
Man, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. It's a great opportunity to visit and share what God's doing around our ministries.
Golly, man. Well, thank you so much for making time. Craig, I know you're in and out of the country a lot. You spend a lot of time in Costa Rica.
Yep.
I guess probably predominantly in Costa Rica right now. And last year, you invited me, and we brought in my family as well. We spent a week down there with you guys. Just a phenomenal time. A beautiful place, incredible people. But getting to train people to share the gospel and then watching people go and share the gospel, it was a lot of old school kind of feel, but I love it so much. And then since then, just to continue to see you continue to train, the people begin to continue to grow, man, we're going to share a lot about that. But thanks for letting us be a part, man. What a joy.
Yeah, it's great. Great to have you and great to do this work together.
That's it, man. That's our word, together, man. And it's cooperation, not competition in the kingdom, man.
That's
so
right.
thank you for what you're doing. But so to just kick us off, why don't you tell us? So you're working right now Beyond the Known ministry, and but that's not where you started. Can you give us maybe your quick synopsis of your life ministry, how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, Ryan, I was a business guy, just working in the marketplace, had a sales and marketing agency, was just traveling the country, really traveling the world, selling products. And I got bored, and the Lord called me into full-time ministry to help revitalize a church. And so I, in 2010, became an executive pastor and started walking that journey of helping a church that was struggling and in a lot of debt, work its way out of that and revitalize into a new launch. And in 2018, the Lord said, "You've accomplished what I asked you to do. It's time to move on." And so at that point, really received a call. Didn't know where we were going, but received a call to go into international missions. And so just really sought out, man, what does this obedience look like? And it ended up in Costa Rica because of relationships, because he gave me a picture of his relationship with me and how he loved me, and that's how I should treat other people that I do ministry with. And so we went to where we had a pastoral relationship, we could have covering in a community, and we didn't try to launch a church. We're not trying to be a local church. We're trying to empower the local church. And
love that.
We went and we found partners that we could pray with, we could seek the Lord with, and just see what he was going to do. And so that's how we got there.
That's amazing. So, man, from the business field to the mission field, it's all mission field, right?
That's
but
right.
It's amazing to watch that happen. I didn't realize that the dates you shared, 2010, 2018, those mirrored my exact dates at the Mount, right? So I was at the Mount. God called me there 2010. I stepped away at the end of 2018 to launch. So I didn't. You're way more up to speed on that than I am. So, but that's awesome, man. How cool is that? And I know we got to connect there when we were both serving at churches in the same area. But then you reached out to us because what you do is you kind of host people to come over to Costa Rica. Share kind of how that looks like. What does it mean you're doing ministry in Costa Rica?
So our tagline, our saying is investing in relationships that change the world.
Come on.
Right? We want to engage people wherever they are, equip them with what they need, and empower them to do it themselves.
Yeah.
I'm not called to be the only one to share the gospel.
Yeah, man.
And so what we went to Costa Rica to do was to empower indigenous people to take ownerships of their communities to see this change come to life. What I realized is there are people here in my own community that I need to take on this journey so they can see that, so that they can then not influence Costa Rica. Maybe they'll get an opportunity, but they can be trained and equipped to come back and do the same thing in their neighborhood, their church, their school. And so we work with over 300 volunteers in Costa Rica, in country, working in 26 communities through our ministry.
Yeah.
But what we do is we'll take teams from America. We had a team from Brazil. We've had teams from really all over the world that come in and partner with us. And it's my goal to minister to them while they minister to others so that I can equip them and grow them. Man, there's some effectiveness on the ground. But when they get on the plane and go back, they're ready to go back and do it and not just check the box and say, I went on a trip.
That's awesome. I love that heartbeat. Is like, hey, we want to equip you while you're here doing ministry. We want to pour into you while you're pouring out to others. And I can say, because me and my family were there, that's exactly what you're doing. I watched it. Man, I watched these young high school dudes like have to pour concrete. I mean, it was amazing. And, you know, I would love to say everybody did it with a smile. Of course, it's hard. Some of it's hard work. There are tears, there are sunburns, you know. But my goodness, at the end of the day, to watch kind of the lights come on for them, saying, hey, not only I'm not just here to pour concrete, that may be what I do to serve, but it's going to open up that door to have a conversation. And we had that event later that night after several days there. People coming in, people responding to the gospel.
That's right.
Just an incredible time. But one of the things that we kind of helped, I guess, get started was the training, of the gospel, how to share what we call emoji evangelism,
That's
right?
That's right.
We use the 4 emojis to help people tell the good news of Jesus. Y'all have continued to do that. But by the way, if you're listening and you are a supporter of Rage Ministries, I just want to say thank you because of your support financially. We're able to just freely give Craig and his ministry resources. Sometimes he'll text me up, go, hey man, I'm about to go to a trip, and do you have any wristbands? I'm like, how many do you need? And he always says, I will tell you, he always says, hey, we're happy to pay for them. And I'm always like, no, we're happy to give them. Okay. So thank y'all for just helping that happen. You're literally making a difference in people's lives eternally and don't even know it. But you guys are taking these. I think we're about to give you 1,000 you're going to take over there. So what do y'all do with this? How's this working?
So look, kingdom partnership is something that you can either engage it and thrive in it, or it becomes competition. I got to help. I can't help it. You take, man, what I appreciate about you is we're in this together for one reason.
That's it.
That's to see lost people come to know the Lord.
Right.
All the other work that we do is a process to get to the result of being able to share the gospel. So
hold on, pause right there.
Yeah, man.
Because you just, I'm holding a sheet in my hand, and y'all don't, I think some people think, well, all you're doing is just going there. Like you said, all the work we do is to get to the chance to share the gospel. Now, I'm just going to read a few numbers, and then I want you to elaborate on this. So, they're impacting local poverty in these areas. They served over 190,000 meals, right?
Can I clarify that one real quick?
Yeah.
We don't cook any meals, Ryan.
Right.
I have 3 employees, 5 board members, 300 volunteers, and we don't cook any meals.
Yeah.
We equip other people to do that.
That's what I love.
We may have 7 feeding centers, and there a mom in a neighborhood, single mom, who said, I'll give you my porch so that we can feed people. Yeah. And so we'll go in and train her and equip her so she becomes the owner of her neighborhood.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So that when those kids struggle in the middle of the week, they're not looking for the missionary who's not coming back.
Come on, man.
They're looking for the lady who's there every single day. And so she takes ownership of the relationship of that kid, and it's not based on me.
No, that's right.
I always
Craig
say
to get
this,
back.
if Mickey Mouse gets hit by the milk truck, Disney's going to die.
Yeah.
If Craig never goes back, our ministry will not die because other people are equipped with the gospel.
And I know that's so. And this is what this is what I love about your model. What you're doing there is just you're not doing it for them. You're doing it with them, and you're training them how to do it.
The most important day that I have is the day I get on the plane to come back, because my people can thrive.
Yeah.
I'll train them, I'll equip them, and I leave. Very intentionally, I do not live in Costa Rica as a missionary, because there's indigenous people who need to do it themselves.
So good. 190,000 meals provided, 1,150 children served every week, 450 families impacted, monthly. They've established a community farm, which is awesome, by the way. I love the farm. I can't wait to go back and see how it's progressed.
Big changes.
It was just the beginning when I think I was there, and so I'm excited to see that. The impact education, over 250 students served. Agricultural farm partnerships are impacting lives. The pregnancy center is incredible. Hey, yesterday, so just, you don't know this, but I'm going to share it with you right now.
Okay.
My son's in Awanas, and so this week is the one about missionaries, and he goes, "We know a missionary," and we go, "Yeah, who?" He goes, "Mr. Craig," and I'm like, "Yeah, you're exactly right." And so they had to print out a picture of a missionary. So he's printing out your picture.
Oh, wow.
And as we were going through pictures, there was one of him in the pregnancy center pushing the cart full of diapers. Right, full of diapers, right?
In and out of the room.
In and out of the room.
Oh my gosh, my knees.
And he just has, and he has this biggest smile on his face. He's 6 years old at this time, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's just loving it, man, and he has no idea the impact he's making. He has no idea who's going to get those diapers. He don't even know what a diaper is, you know?
Right.
No idea who's going to get those diapers, whose heart's going to be open to a conversation about Jesus, because your team has provided a basic need like a diaper for their child, and this is what you're doing. So elaborate on what you're getting to do. I can share stats all day long, but elaborate a little bit, and then how that then opens up the door to share the gospel.
So as we went into our first community, I didn't go to that community by chance, right? Our church, our local church, when I became an executive pastor, was going there on adventure mission trips, right?
Okay.
So I walked into an established relationship.
Okay.
That allowed me to have influence. We had disaster relief. Our church couldn't go when a hurricane struck, but we could send resources.
Okay.
And so I would go and inspect what was going to happen and make sure that we were using our resources well. And I developed relationships with government leaders and educators all throughout the region. And so when the Lord called me to go into this full time, and I go back to a region where I had some basis of knowledge and relationship, it sped everything up, because trust was established because of the way that we had served and the way that we had engaged. And so I didn't want to do what Craig wanted to do, right? I didn't want to go in there and go, "Here's your program. Here's exactly how we're going to do this." And so I learned from a very good friend of mine how to decode a community.
Okay.
And so basically we went in, and over a 4-month period, we had these community meetings where we would cover the walls in big old sticky notes, and we would ask 2 questions. What's your greatest hope and dream?
Okay.
And what's keeping you from getting there? What's your barrier?
Okay.
And we would just take notes. And so we asked those questions. And as we would go back and circle the common things and make associations as we evaluated this, the same thing was true in every community we went to. They were concerned about poverty. They were concerned about access to education, and they were concerned about economics. They didn't have jobs, right? Yeah. So I think if you go anywhere in the impoverished world where there's this spirit of suppression because of food resource or many other things, you'll find that people's genuine concern, how do I feed my kids? How are they going to be educated? And what am I going to do to pay for this? How am I going to work, right? Yeah. So those become very common. So we made those our 3 pillars. Yeah. And so we address that with everything that we do. Wow. And so the feeding is easy, right? We can put resource together. We can put food bags together. Yeah. We can equip feeding centers.
How many bags of rice did we have? Oh my goodness.
Man, it's we're about 400 bags a week now going out to partners. I love right. It. And we don't deliver food, right? People go door to door and do that. And they take your bracelets at the same time. We equip them to be able to share the gospel with every bag of food. But the pregnancy center was something that was not on that chart. It wasn't something that came up, and we were in the middle of COVID at the time, and we were trying to get our certificate of occupancy for our building. We didn't know exactly how that was going to happen, and so I was literally just Googling random questions about certificates of occupancy in Costa Rica, trying to find an avenue to get a breakthrough.
Right.
And this pop-up ad popped up for pregnancy ministry, and I was like, "Man, what is that?" And the Lord's like, "You should call that lady." I'm like, "Oh, okay, here's another one of those obedience things." So I call and I say, "Hey, I don't know why I'm calling you, but here's, this is what happened." She goes, "Okay, great." I said, "Well, please tell me what you do." And she goes, "Well, we just make disciples who make disciples." And I went, "Oh, man." It's exactly what we do, right? And so pregnancy ministry started because I made a call trying to figure out how to get a certificate of occupancy. But here's what's happened is it's grown to probably one of our largest impact, right? We can look at the numbers of meals we provide, but in terms of life change, direct salvations where people are pouring into someone's life on a weekly basis, the pregnancy center is where we see the greatest impact.
Yeah.
Meaning that we have in our pregnancy center care right now 165 moms.
Wow.
Now, when we bring a mom in, right, they need a pregnancy test. They're either in a crisis situation, they're considering abortion. Something is happening where they come looking for help. We give them a pregnancy test. They're pregnant. We invite them into the program. The program is an 18-month program, meaning that we commit resource. We commit a one-on-one counseling scenario once a week for 18 months, the whole pregnancy and the first year of baby's life. Because we don't want them to just have a baby. We want them to successfully become a parent.
Come on.
Right? And so we have devotionals that are written or guidebooks that are written that they walk on a weekly basis through the changes in mom's body and the spiritual changes that are going on, how to grow a family, how to grow a kid. But what we learned really quick is that there's a lot of people doing that, but mom's always distracted because of how do I feed my kids? How do I take care of my family? So the consistency in the program falls off. And so we committed that every mom in the program gets a food bag every week because she don't have to worry about her kids getting fed.
That's
then.
so good.
She can focus on this baby in her life. And so we provide food, we provide prenatal vitamins, we provide this curriculum. And if they commit and they come to the program, they earn points, right? I don't want to say it's monopoly money, but they earn a little coupon for doing their Bible study, having the discussions with the counselors. And then whenever they want, they have their bank. They can come and buy diapers. They can come in and get clothes or a stroller. And so they can get some of these basic need items, but it's because they made the commitment to walk the process. And here's what happens. About 80% of these moms who walk in the door are non-believers. They don't want anything to do with the gospel. They want diapers. That's what they want. They want food. But when you start feeding them, when you pre-conversion evangelize them, right? You disciple them before they're a convert. You pour into their lives. The Holy Spirit takes over and they're saved. And then the conversation changes to a different type of discipleship. And so that's what we're seeing. We see dozens of moms a month receive Christ. And what happens at about the 12th month is how do you talk to my boyfriend, my husband, my kids, and all of a sudden it becomes a family ministry. And so one of the largest impact areas we have is the pregnancy ministry.
Yeah, that's amazing. Isn't it funny how God gets you to a place without showing you everything you're going to do? Because if he probably showed you before, you'd be like, no, that's not for us. That's not what we're doing.
I said it. My team said it. They were like, Craig, we don't have this issue with abortion and pregnancy. It's just not here until you put a free pregnancy test sign on the building and there's a line out the door.
Come on.
Ryan, here's what we're prepared for 165. That was what our budget was this year. 2 weeks ago, we had 20 moms show up, right? So we're now in this point where we're scrambling to find resources because my commitment is I can't say no. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
And so
when you say that, you're scrambling to find resources. Help people grasp what you mean by that.
Yeah. So for us to take a mom in and commit to the process of food, vitamins, the diapers, all that wipes, all the stuff, the Bible, the devotional books, it cost us just under $50 a month to support that mom.
For one mom.
For one mom.
Okay.
And so when we take on 20 moms, that's a significant increase that we weren't planning on. We have certain growth built in.
Those of y'all that can't do quick math, that's $1,000.
Yeah. And so we go back and say, gosh, New Year's was an exciting time in our town, right? That's basically the timing that we've worked out on.
I gotcha.
But you see that significant events in a community that impact childbirth.
There you go.
Right? And so we can go back and we can find that. And so we'll be better prepared next year for this this growth part. But that ministry can be as big as resources allow it to go.
Yeah. So when we say resources, so how can people help with that? I think, I like to get, I like put it on bottom shelf for me because I you're talking about $1,000 a month needed to get the supplies and stuff. Can people send supplies? Can obviously financial partnerships? Can they send some literal physical supplies? What's the best way for somebody who's listening, man, that their heart right now is being pricked by these stories?
Sure.
And what does that look like?
It's all of what you said, right? Obviously, financial resources is important, and people can donate through our website at beyondtheknown.org.
Yep.
It's not sponsor a mom. I do not do sponsorship of FACES programs. Right. We talk totality of ministry. So our operational cost is very, very low. We don't have U.S. employees doing this because we're equipping people overseas.
Yeah.
And so the resource is going to the ground.
Yeah.
And so that financial piece is able to do that on our website. But baby clothes, diapers, wipes, all of those little supplies are things that we receive here in our Keller office, right? Yeah. People can donate that here locally.
Okay.
And then when I take teams of students, like I've taken teams from Harvest Christian Academy, Fort Worth Christian, Coram Deo, churches all over the Metroplex. When we take teams, we say, hey, you should bring one bag for yourself and one extra ministry bag. And then we fill those ministry bags with resources that people have donated so that those traveling people,
because you're not shipping stuff.
I don't have to ship.
Yeah,
we can't ship because the import taxes are crazy. And so we resource teams locally to be successful in the field through partnerships here in the Metroplex.
That's awesome, man. I love that. So, hey, if you're listening, I just want to give my just plea. If you're feeling like, man, I wish I could do something today. Beyondtheknown.org. And find out a way. Maybe you want to get a team at your church together to go. Maybe you own a business and you're like, I can supply you with as many wipes as you need. Maybe you're looking for a place to give financially. I'm just saying, I found in my life, Craig, and anybody listening out there, is like, when I feel in my spirit, oh man, we can do something, then just do it and watch God work. Like he says, to him who knows what is the right thing to do and doesn't do it, to them it's sin.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not, this isn't about shame or condemnation. It's about reality of walking with Jesus. Like, if you know the right thing you're able to do, then step up and do it. There's just some things I don't think you have to pray about, There's just those times you're like, I know I can do something. Man, I feel drunk. Like, put your yes on the table and watch God do it.
That's right. You talk about church groups or office complexes, people in business.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times we see things where people do book drives or whatever type of drive there is, right? We can be the recipient of a drive, right?
Yeah.
If you have a women's ministry or a children's ministry and you're going into VBS and you want to collect diapers as the mission thing, man, we can receive those.
That's so good.
If you have a senior adult reading club where you get together and read books, man, bring some kids' books and donate. It can be anything, right?
Yeah.
Here's what I know. The Lord has made each of us uniquely and called you to do something.
Yeah, that's
right.
And
so if you're drawing breath, you're still in the game. And so we want to help facilitate you being in the game and being active in the kingdom of God.
Yeah. Dude, that's why, Craig, when you guys reach out or you text me or whatever, man, it's always just a no-brainer for us. So, like, if we don't have the wristbands, we'll get them to you and we'll get it. So it's just something we can do. So this whole pregnancy ministry thing, like, you have a story, man, that you could share with us, like somebody whose life's been impacted, not just by, not just getting diapers, which is a big deal, a huge deal. But tell us, you got a story on that?
Yeah, man, one of the stories that's impacted my life the most, because I've been able to journey through this from both supporting a counselor and now supporting a family, is the story of Fresi. Fresi was about 5 months pregnant. She was addicted to crack cocaine. She was homeless and on the street. One of our counselors, Angelica, happened to see her, and she kind of said, hey, are you doing all right? Didn't know her, but she was there. And Fresi, I need, give me. And Angelica was like, no, I want to help you, but we got to have a conversation. Where do you live? Well, I don't have a place to live, right? And I'm pregnant. And then Angelica was like, oh my goodness, you're pregnant. Well, let's come to the center. Let's see if we can help you. So this conversation starts, but the drugs and the suppression of that whole deal were there. And And what Angelica knew, because she had walked the journey of having 3 kids already, was when Fresi got to the hospital, if drugs were in her system, she wasn't going to get to keep that baby, right? So Angelica, in the back of her mind, went, man, I got to do something to help this lady.
Yeah.
So one of our volunteers, caring about the person more than the product that we were using. And so Angelica would go at 4 o'clock in the morning because she knew she would find Fresi asleep in the street. She couldn't run from her at that point. She wasn't hiding. And she would just talk, and they would fight. They would scream at each other and battle. And Fresi was like, I don't want it. I don't want this, Jesus. Just kept pushing back. And Angelica just kept going, it's okay. I'm just going to come serve you. Right? I'm just going to come serve you. And she kept talking about, you got to get rid of the drugs. And Fresi would try. But man, she was scarred and it was a mess. And Angelica started making, she's a chef by trade, and she started making these natural green smoothies. She went on YouTube and found a detox formula where she would bring in fresh vegetables to help Fresi detox. And so she did this for 4 months. Now it's time for Fresi to have the baby. And she has made some changes in her life. She knew that the social workers would say, do you have a place for baby to live? She's homeless, right? But she had access to a little piece of land. And so we raised a couple $1,000s and we went to the local church and they rallied people and they built her a 1-room little home.
Come on.
Right? It was just concrete walls with a metal roof and a door. That's all it had to have, was to be able to lock. And so Fresi had a home. So that box is going to be able to be checked when the social worker asks. And well, you got to have a place for the baby to sleep. And so we found somebody to donate a pack and play, right? That was the crib that could be had.
Yeah.
So Fresi had that. And Fresi didn't have a bed to sleep in. So with baby, she's sleeping on the ground. And so we went and we found a little twin set of bunk beds. Not that she needed 2, but that's what we could find.
Yeah.
So Fresi had a bed. So all of a sudden, Fresi has his home. She's now off the street because the local church stepped up with resources that were provided and they served her. And she came to know the Lord, and her story is it's just a story of radical transformation. And so she calls and says, Angelica, I've had the baby from the hospital. And Angelica's like, oh my goodness, I needed to be there because somebody's got to advocate for you, because they're going to ask you these questions. They're going to look at these marks on your arms. They're going to test your blood. Mm-hmm. And so we had made Angelica a little name badge. Every one of our counselors literally just gets a picture on a card that says counselor and their driver's license number. Okay. There's nothing legal about it other than it's what it is. And so Angelica puts on her badge and she goes to the hospital and she says, I'm her counselor. And they say, well, come on in, right? They just let her right in because she had a badge. And Angelica goes and Fresi says, I'm going to be okay because God made me okay. And so Angelica's there and they test her blood and it's negative.
Wow.
And Fresi was like, the first time in my life that it showed up. This is true. She'd been praying for that. And so now every month a social worker comes to her house to test her blood. And every month she goes, I got this.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Man, Ryan, I tell you that because that's a life transformation from mess on the street to now raising a child. Her boyfriend, the father of that child, was able to be sent away to rehab from people in the community, stepped up for that. So there's family transformation. A year ago, I got to dedicate that baby in the church. 6 days old, she showed up to show the church my baby is alive. Wow. And the pastor's like, Craig, come dedicate this baby. And so we dedicated it. And I was there just a few weeks ago and got to pray over that baby on their 1-year birthday. That's the impact of the pregnancy center. It's not about vitamins, diapers, and wipes. Those are all tools that get us to the point where this true life transformation happens.
I love it, man. It's so good. Man, thank you for sharing that story. And I'm thinking about, man, as you share stories like that, teenagers get to go over there, groups get to go over, a little bit at a time for a week at a time or whatever. But you're getting to see now a year in this or plus in this woman's journey and the transformation that happens. And man, what a blessing, dude. Thank you for sharing that with us. Gives us a glimpse, right?
Here's what's important, right? We affect Fresi's life.
Yeah.
But Angelica's life is
That's
radically
right.
changed as
Absolutely.
well. And so as a ministry, Angelica last year was our volunteer of the year.
Come on.
Not because she did this quantity of work that was so good, but her investment in people was so off the chart.
Yeah.
Her commitment at 4:00 in the morning was so off the chart. She is our volunteer hero of the year. She's a hero to Fresi. And so, man, we honor our volunteers and we push them to the front because they have ownership of the gospel.
that's
It's
it.
not about me.
Yeah.
They have that responsibility and they're empowered to go do it.
I love it, man. Well, I know some people are thinking about, man, I'd love to get my team over there or whatever. I know you had shared that there's some training you do when they
Yeah.
get there and stuff, because some people feel like, man, I want to go, but I don't know if our people know what to do or whatever. Tell us a little bit what that looks like.
So every team, that comes, whether it be a school, a church, business groups,
Yeah.
they come in and they've done some sort of training, right? They've had some group meetings to have conversations about what to expect. And so the first night that a team arrives, I really try to just simplify this for them.
Okay.
And so it was just this last January I started this process. We always meet and we do team stuff and devotions, but we were coming right out of Christmas, right? And I had been to a candlelight service, and the visual that we all have in America of candlelight services fills the room. It's beautiful. Silent Night is sung. But we never really talk about the multiplication that's happening.
It. Yes.
And so as we talk about on that first night, we go through 1 John.
Okay.
And we talk about the light.
Yeah.
Right. And so I literally will take and I just put a candle in the middle of the room and I talk about their ability, since they said yes to come on this trip, their ability to carry light into the darkness. And so all the lights go out with one candle, and one at a time, these participants go and they take the light from the middle and they return out to this outer circle. And it creates this visual where they clearly see the impact they just made.
That's good. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They just
What a
made that
visual.
impact. And so all of a sudden, there's this challenge of every time we walk into any conversation, the light that you have within you is now transferring into a dark environment.
Yeah, man.
Whether there's darkness inside the church, right? People we talk to, there's something that needs to be illuminated. And so we train people, and at the end of this light conversation where we've done this visible demonstration, it's when we train them the simplicity of the bracelets. So that's the point where we can show them, man, the emoji is, the heart is love, and the division sign is separation from God, and the cross is Jesus, and what are you going to do with this? And so we combined the resource you give us with this visible demonstration that allows people to paint a picture in their mind of how they can simply be successful. And that's what it is we go into mission work, we go into any environment, and we talk about changing the world, and we have this big picture of the world.
Yeah.
And the reality is the world we need to change is the next environment we walk into.
Man.
And so the world is very small. It's not great big. It's not overwhelming. It's right there in front of you. And so we individualize it for their understanding and their capacity. So anybody who goes, your 6-year-old to a 90-year-old can be successful with the simplicity of the gospel because it's not the responsibility for the totality of it. It's responsibility for the next conversation.
That's it, man. You couldn't have said it better, or I couldn't have said it better myself, man. That was awesome. I think that's the reality. I often say it like this, changing the world starts with changing one person. And exactly what you said. It's that next conversation. It's the next person you meet. It's the next room you walk into. And that's how the world has changed one at a time.
Look, man, we gave our volunteers a shirt this year. Their volunteer T-shirt says, "Be the change you want to see in the world."
That's it. Yeah.
Right? If you can't live that change in your own life,
Yeah.
you have no chance to influence the rest of the world, right? We go into situations with no neutral moments in life. We're either positively influencing or we're negatively influencing, right? We're either accepting Christ or rejecting Christ, right? There's not a neutral moment where we get to be indecisive. And our lives have to be on the positive, on the Christ side. So that's the first change that has to happen for us to be impactful on the other side.
Good, man. Just help people take one step closer, man. One step closer.
And then it multiplies.
It multiplies.
It multiplies.
Yeah. Dude, thank you so much for being here today. Thanks for this conversation. Thankful for your friendship, your partnership in ministry. Thank you for allowing us to be a part. And it's an absolute honor and joy. I look forward. We're already dreaming up, hey, what is us going back over there look like? But hey, even if I never step foot in Costa Rica again, I'm thankful for, I know the way you train people, the way you're raising up people indigenously there. The ministry is going to go on. The gospel is going to continue to spread. So thank you for doing that. Best place for people to connect with you, beyondtheknown.org. Is there other places that's good?
Our Facebook page, our Instagram is just under Beyond the Known International. It's there.
Awesome.
Do we have time for one more quick story?
Oh, we always have time for one story.
I want to share with you what your resource did for me.
Okay.
I got a call 2 Fridays ago.
Okay.
This guy that I've known for many years his son went to school with my kid, and he's 54 years old, lives in the Metroplex.
Okay.
And he had posted on Facebook that the Lord had radically changed his life the week before. Wow. And I thought he was a Christian, right? We see this, we see people around us, we make assumptions, and then we see something that gives us a different perspective. So I've been praying for him, and he called me out of the blue, or texted me out of the blue, and he said, Craig, I'm in Cancun with my son, college student, for spring break, and we've got 3 hours left. And when I got up this morning, the Lord had put on my heart as I was reading scripture that I had to share the gospel because I have no idea what to do. And so he goes, does this make sense? And he just started writing out scripture on the page. I said, man, it's good. That's really, that'll work, right? Scripture's good. It's the best thing we have. Yeah. I said, well, let me give you this little tool. And I sent him a picture of the 4 emojis, and he said, I have very little biblical knowledge. He said, I'm not good at that, but I'm good at charades. I said, then you're in.
You're in, baby.
And so I wrote out in Spanish, the heart emoji and, God is love and sin separates. I wrote it all out in Spanish, and I just sent it to him in a little text message. And he said, oh, thank you so much. And then he started sending me pictures back of people, waiters he was sharing the gospel with through this text message in a 5-minute text conversation. He was fully trained and equipped with everything he needed to share the gospel. And so in 3 hours, he shared the gospel 7 times.
Come on.
I don't know how many of those people accepted Christ. It doesn't matter. He was out there throwing seed.
That's it.
And making an impact confidently because he was trained with the emoji. So Ryan, all I can tell you is that little system is making a huge impact.
Wow.
It's so simple to use if you just engage it.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it, right? Is what I'll tell anybody listening. You don't have to have 100 scriptures to go with it. You just have to have the truth of the gospel, and the rest comes to life. And it's proven by my friend who was successful the first time he ever shared the gospel.
Oh my goodness, I love it. That's what we tell people all the time. Like, our goal is not to save anybody because we can't save anybody, but we can share with anybody.
That's
and
right.
if we're ready, man, I'm amazed at how many opportunities we actually get to do just that. So, man, thank you for sharing that story. Thank you for just saying, hey, let's take this emojis, let's share it out. Hey, and if you want to know more about that, you can go to 1millioncent.com. We have completely free training there for you. We have resources available at wearerage.com. And I'm telling you, you can know how to share the gospel confidently and consistently. And there's just nothing like it. So whether you're here in the Metroplex or you're somewhere else around the globe, it's amazing. The gospel, it impacts anybody, anywhere, anytime.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
Craig, thanks again for being here. And I just want to say before we go, a special thanks to Kenyon and Katie Coleman at Redefine Coffee. They let us set up in one of their rooms here, and super thankful for them. If you happen to be in the Metroplex, stop by, grab a cup of coffee, enjoy the environment. And hey, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, don't forget this. Today is a great day to tell someone about Jesus.
1 million cent, 1 million cent. Get untrained and equipped 100%. 1 million cent, 1 million cent. Get untrained and equipped like 100%.